Goat versus fish. In the beginning, there was goat versus fish, the GoatVsFish. And Goat versus Fish said that there should be goat and that there should be fish. There is no alpha or omega. There is no black or white. There is no good or evil. There is only goat and fish and goat versus fish. Welcome to the Goat vs. Fish podcast, recorded at the world-famous comedy store Los Angeles, a place of goat versus fish. Goat vs. Fish speaks to you now, speaks directly to you. You are part of Goat vs. Fish. Forever Goat vs. Fish, forever Goat vs. Fish. And Goat vs. Fish is a part of you. You have many questions, yes? Who is Goat vs. Fish? What is Goat vs. Fish? Why is Goat vs. Fish? But there is only one question. Are you goat? Or are you fish? Ponder it now. This is Goat vs. Fish. Today, Goat vs. Fish speaks to a one, speaks to another one. You are curious, yes, you are curious about this one. Well, Goat vs. Fish was also very curious about this one and would like to tell you about this one. Yes, and what do the ones call this one? What do the ones call this one?
Hey, I'm Madison Sinclair.
Madison Sinclair, they call it. Goat vs. Fish did not even know that that is what they called it. But Goat vs. Fish has heard of this one, Let us review how Goat vs. Fish has heard of this one, yes. On the Instantgram. On the Instantgram, there was a visage of the Goat vs. Fish podcast that was shared with the ones to spread the word of Goat vs. Fish. It is at Goat vs. Fish, at GoatVsFish. For Goat vs. Fish did conduct a versus with one Melanie Vesey, yes, one Melanie Vesey. And Melanie Vesey did say of this versus, so great. This goat had a great time. That is what that goat said. That is what that goat said about Goat vs. Fish. Yes, and Goat vs. Fish was pleased to hear it. Yes, and Goat vs. Fish said, and Goat vs. Fish had a great versus with you, goat. Yes, it is all very Goat vs. Fish. It is all very Goat vs. Fish, is it not? There is an evidence. There is an evidence. You can see it on the Instagram, yes.
All right, so basically what happened was I wrote on Instagram that there's only one goat comic in this bitch, and I told you to step off.
It is very simple the way you put it. Yes, Goat vs. Fish thinks the ones need to hear exactly what this one said. It said, I want to go on...
I did not say that I want to go on this podcast.
It said, I want to go. There is an evidence. Goat vs. Fish looks at the visage right now. It says, I want to go on to settle my beef with Goat vs. Fish. You want to settle your beef with Goat vs. Fish. Do you deny that you have said it?
Must have been I don't remember. I don't recall that.
Of course, it does not recall. It does not recall. Yes, we are always noticing how the fence sitter does not recall things. Yes, the fence sitter that chooses neither goat nor fish. Beware the fence sitter, yes. It wishes to settle beef with Goat vs. Fish. To settle beef?
Yes.
What is beef? Is beef goat or fish? Goat versus Fish usually asks the ones, yes. Is beef a goat or a fish? But Goat versus Fish did look on the intraweb, they call it. Yes, did look for itself, and it said that beef is of a cow. Of a cow! And Goat versus Fish looked at this cow, and it seems that most would say that a cow is neither a goat nor a fish. You wish to settle beef? Are you a beef settler?
Maybe. Yes, I am. I'm a, but I'm also.
You are a what? You are a what? Say it. Are you a beef settler?
I'm not going to say that.
You're not going to say you are a beef settler.
You're not going to have audio of me saying that I'm a beef settler. But I will say I am the only goat comic.
Oh, you are the only goat comic.
I am the only goat comic.
Yes. Goat versus Fish has heard.
How many goats do you own, Goat versus Fish?
Goat versus Fish own. Goat versus Fish does not own any goat. The goat are free with Goat versus Fish. Free to versus the fish. Why? Do you own goat? Do you keep goat that they cannot move about as they wish and versus the fish as they wish?
I actually have both. I have 2 goats and I have a beta fish. So
it has goat and fish. Well, it has goat and fish, beef settlers. Of course, a beef settler by any other name is still a fence sitter. You will not say you are a beef settler. You say you are a goat comic. You say you are a goat comic. You say you are the only goat comic. It does say it. It says, there can only be one goat comic in this bitch. Do you deny that you have said it?
No, I stand by that. 100%.
Once, Goat versus Fish was walking on the street, as the ones call it, yes? And one looked at Goat versus Fish on Hollywood and Vine, and one pointed at Goat versus Fish and said, "You's a bitch."
Sounds like something I would do. Yeah.
Was it you? Was it you who did say Goat versus Fish was a bitch? Goat versus Fish is not a bitch. Goat versus Fish is Goat versus Fish.
So when did Goat versus Fish begin?
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
Yes, in the beginning there was Goat versus Fish.
So you've been around doing this from before L.A. or have you?
Los Angeles. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Like,
Place
how
of
old
Goat
are
versus
you?
Fish. In the beginning there was Goat versus Fish.
But how old are you?
Forever Goat versus Fish. Forever Goat versus Fish. Yes, it has been a long time, as the ones call it.
So what's like your thing in this? If it's always been Goat versus Fish, are you like the person?
No.
What are you? Are you the disciple that's preaching it, or are you?
I am Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish speaks directly to you now. Speaks directly to you. Perhaps you will wish to spread the word of Goat versus Fish after you have heard the word of Goat versus Fish. But this is Goat versus Fish.
Okay, so that doesn't. I'm not following it. I'm sorry. So you are the concept of Goat versus Fish. You're not like but you dress like a disciple, but you're not a disciple.
I am Goat versus Fish, yes.
Okay.
Now you say you are the only goat comic, yes? You do say this?
Yeah, well, basically, what
of Mia Mars? Mia Mars has been on the Goat versus Fish podcast and did say it was a goat and a comic.
I don't know who
Shawnee Mack did say it was a goat and a comic. Nathan Hurd did say it was a goat and a comic. Sean Hart did say it was a goat and a comic. Andrea Guzetta did say that it was a comic, but now it is simply a goat. Then there is Tom Whalen. It said it was a goat, but now it is perhaps saying something else, Tom Whalen. Goat versus Fish is looking at you, wondering what you wish to be. There are many goat comic. Explain how you are the one goat comic.
Because you can't say that all comics are either a goat or a fish. It's like you have a goat thing going, and I feel like what would it take for Goat versus Fish to stop doing comedy?
What is comedy?
Exactly. That's why I'm here today. No, it's just like there can only be one goat comic in LA, and there can't be multiple goat comics. You can't have a goat thing act too. There's too many goat acts, you know.
Goat versus Fish does not know. Goat versus Fish thinks there should be more goat. Goat versus Fish thinks there should always be more goat and more fish and more goat and more fish and more goat versus fish. It is this one who says there should only be one goat.
So like, where did this idea start? Like the goat versus fish idea? Like, what is it? Is it just you figuring out people are goat or a fish? And then that's...
It is Goat versus Fish asking the ones. It is time to find out if you are a fence sitter or if you are a goat. You say you are a goat. Of course, you could be a fish. Are you goat? Or are you beef settler?
Because now you're just...
Are you a goat?
Are
you a goat? You say you are the goat comic. Do you say you are a goat? Do you say now you are a goat?
You know what? I'm going to say I'm a beef settler just because now, because why? Because now you can't say things are either goat or fish. Boom.
Goat versus fish can always say
No,
that things
yeah,
are goat or fish because goat versus
so now-
fish, all things are goat and fish.
See, now things can't be one or the other. Now I've created an option 3. Now you're goat versus fish versus beef settler.
This one thinks it has created something, thinks it has created the fence sitter. There have been many fence sitters before you, many fence sitters who sit on the fence, yes?
Because, there could be a fence
Choosing
between
neither
two
goat
things.
nor fish. So you don't choose goat.
There can't
You
be
say you are not a goat.
There can't be a fence between 3 things.
If you are not
though.
a goat, then you are not the original goat comic. You are not the original goat anything unless you say you are a goat.
I have a show with 2 goats, and they wear trench coats, and they live in Manhattan, and they're trying to find love and success, and they get hella poon in it. There's like hot models in it, and it's just a good smart show.
It is so. Goat versus fish is testing this one that it thinks could be a fence sitter. Goat versus fish has seen this one. Yes, has seen this one. Has seen.
You've seen 2 goats
in a trench coat. Yes, it was 2 goats. It seemed like 2 goats, but then there was only 1 goat, and it did speak to one. It did speak to one that did resemble you. Yes, did those goats speak to you?
That was me. And in the second one, the other goat gets featured a little more heavily. Sophie Cooper's in it. Actually, we just haven't had a chance to edit it because it's all green screen and everything's separate. So it's like it's actually shot like Lord of the Rings, but like way worse. Lord of the Rings had no budget. And pretty much we just do everything. We do everything separately, so it takes like a long time to get everything together.
So you have been with goat. Goat versus fish has seen you with goat.
Yes. Yeah. 2.
And you also claim, yes, got 45 acres of them back in MS?
No, that's someone else.
Is that the place of goat?
That's someone else.
Of goat? It is. Goat versus fish was hoping.
Yeah, someone else is trying to claim that they're the goat comic, but you can't say you're a goat comic if you just know some goats out of state. We all know some goats, you know.
You know other goats? Tell Goat versus Fish of these goats that you know. Yes, Goat versus Fish would like to hear of this goat.
Yeah, I know some goats in Florida.
And what are these goats like? Are they versus the fish?
No, they're at a farm.
They're not versus the fish.
They're at a petting farm.
What is a goat if it is not versus a fish?
Orlando.
It cannot be a goat if it is not versus a fish. Tell us what you know about goat. You say so much about goat. Goat versus Fish would like to hear of the goat.
They're just really cool animals. They're like kind of like that. They're my favorite. That's why I've cornered the goat market a little bit. Like I get people send me goat videos every day.
You see goat. You see visage of the goat at all verses. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish is so pleased that you see goat. Yes. What are some of your favorite visage of the goat?
I like the ones where they're I like the feigning ones. Those are funny. Or the ones where they put pajamas on them. Or there's one where they oh god, the one it sounds like it's saying yep.
Yes, it does sound like a goat, doesn't it? It does sound like a goat. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. How can goat versus fish stay upset with this one? That even though it says it could be a fence sitter or a beef settler, yes, but it also says it is a goat. But now you are speaking of goat. You're speaking about goat so tenderly. And goat versus fish does care for the goat, and of course the fish. But we are speaking to one about goat now. Are you with the goat? Do you support the goat? Do you love the goat? Are you with the goat?
Like sexually? No.
Any way you wish. Any way you wish.
They're right now the 2 goats I have. They destroyed this house that they were at. They ate his patio furniture. They ate all of his landscaping, his trees, and everything. So now, I had to move it. Now my goats are in a Mexican cactus farm in Paris, California. And I was actually there like a few days ago.
Yes.
And we saw 3 helicopters and the SWAT team showed up. And did you hear? There's a story about those family that was chained up, their 13 kids. That was right across.
Some have said that kids are goat. Is that so? Is a kid a goat? A small goat?
Yeah, but these
they
are
had
like
13 goats.
These are human kids.
Ones that say they are a goat. Yes.
Yeah, it was like a big news story, and the SWAT team showed up, and so there's things going down by my goats.
Many things. These goats have seen many things. Yes. Have they been to the sea?
Have they been? No, they have not.
Have they seen a fish?
I don't think so.
Then what are these goat? How do you keep these goat if you do not even let them versus the fish? It is goat versus fish. What is a goat unless it versus the fish? Are you trying to protect the goat from the fish, trying to train and to strengthen the goat so that later they can versus and triumph over the fish?
No. Just having them.
And what does having them? Tell us about having goat.
What's the out in this
Well, first you must choose. First you must choose goat or fish. Yes.
And then okay. Well, I've pretty hardly picked goat.
You are a goat? Are you a goat? Say you are a goat. Are you a goat?
I'm a goat.
It is a goat! It is a goat! It is a goat! GoatVsFish needed to hear you say that you are a goat. GoatVsFish was so concerned you are a fence sitter. So concerned you are a fence sitter. Yes. What was it? What is the beef? Yes. What is beef? Yes. Now that everything is GoatVsFish, what is beef? Is it a goat or a fish? Do we have beef? GoatVsFish has already forgotten about the beef. Yes, it is a goat. It is GoatVsFish. Yes, together we are GoatVsFish, and you are a goat, and you are a goat. Tell us, goat, how does it feel to be a goat?
Well, I've always been a goat. That's why I came here to defend my stance as a goat.
Yes, then say what you will. Say what you will to defend your stance as a goat. Yes, GoatVsFish is ready to hear the defense of the goat.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I like goats. I'm a comic, and it's like my thing. So I just don't want there to be another goat comic on the scene, you know?
Well, then you should speak with the ones who have been on the GoatVsFish podcast who have said that they are goat and comics. GoatVsFish is not a comic, as the ones say. Some have said it is, but GoatVsFish is simply GoatVsFish spreading the word of GoatVsFish. You have nothing to fear from GoatVsFish. GoatVsFish is not a comic, as the ones say.
Yeah, just like I don't know how to respond to this. Sorry, I'm completely out of words.
Well then, let us talk about this one. Let us talk about this goat, yes? GoatVsFish, yes?
Yeah.
You have said you are a goat now. And this, two goats in a trench coat, yes, it is of goat, This pleases GoatVsFish. Now, where did GoatVsFish hear that it had been seen? Has it been seen on a place that is called Adult Swim? Is that so?
It was streamed on their website.
Streamed on what? On what?
Adult Swim had like a streaming thing, so it's like it wasn't on the actual channel, but I streamed it through their development. They have like a show you can watch it, like a web show.
And what was it like? What did this goat think when it had two goats in a trench coat on Adult Swim?
Well, it's pretty on brand. That's what I wanted it to be on. That's what I pictured it being on.
On brand. Does that mean it is like the goat?
Yeah. I feel like Adult Swim, it's definitely the only place that would have a show so stupid.
It is Adult Swim! It is Adult Swim! Do the fish not swim, goat? Do the fish not swim? GoatVsFish has looked at... Do the fish swim? Do the fish swim?
No, they don't.
The fish do not swim?
The fish do not swim.
This one does not seem to know much about goat or fish. What do fish do if they do not swim and versus the goat?
I feel like...
And what a fish center! Fish center live! Adult Swim has fish center! There are so many fish at Adult Swim. So many fish. And you would put the goat with all of these fish.
Yes.
So that they can versus the fish? Was it a way to versus? How was the versus? How was the versus where the goat were with the swimming fish? Yes, was it a mighty versus? Did you triumph or did the fish triumph? Did two goats in a trench coat triumph or did Adult Swim triumph? This is GoatVsFish.
No, it just streamed and they were like, yeah, this is funny. Just you guys had to find a way to keep it going. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've put way too much thought into this. And it has like a whole like backstory and everything because the goats don't talk. So they were wondering how that was going to work. But
you have made it. You have made more goat.
Yeah, that's
you are spreading goat.
I'm going to put the second one out soon. Yeah.
GoatVsFish is so pleased, so pleased, so pleased.
And I just submitted it for Channel 101, which would be cool too.
Channel 101. That is a place that you can spread the word of the goat as well.
Yeah. It's where Lonely Island got started. They stream, you get to do a 5-minute pilot, basically. And if it gets picked up, you have to make another 5-minute video. And then you just keep making, they could be as short as 2 minutes, but they stream it at a theater and they're all just like shorts.
And an island, yes, it is out in the sea. It is land on the sea. It is a place of many verses. Now, what of the roast battle? Yes, the Comedy Central roast battle. Yes, you have done this Comedy Central roast battle, yes?
I was a writer's assistant on season 2, and I was in the promos for it, but I never actually battled on Comedy Central's show, but I'm battled I'm going to my 10th battle and next week against Robin Tran.
Oh, your 10th verses, yeah. Yes. And have you triumphed in these verses? Has this goat triumphed? Has this goat triumphed in its verses?
I have won and lost in roast battle.
Yes. And would you say that you triumph in more verses or that you do not triumph in more verses?
I have triumphed in most, but it's a small. It's not a huge majority, I think. I don't remember what my record is, but I think I've like slightly won more than I've lost.
Ah, this goat says it is goat versus fish. It is of goat versus fish, but then it does not remember. But so many verses it has had. So many verses, it cannot even remember all the verses. Yes, this is a goat to celebrate. This is a goat to celebrate, yes? Now, do you roast goat or do you roast fish?
Mostly just like emasculated men and women, basically.
Man and woman, yes. Are they goat or fish?
What?
Is a man a goat or a fish?
I don't know.
Is a woman a goat or a fish?
I'm not sure.
Are you a man or a woman? Do you claim to be a man or a woman?
I'm a woman, but it's interesting because my next battle is going to be against Robin Tran. So, asking about gender identity, that's going to be the subject of our next battle.
Goat versus fish does not know of gender. Goat versus fish is simply wondering if this one is a woman and this one has said that it is a goat. Does that mean that women are goat? Are all women goat?
No.
Oh, there are women who are fish. Yes, very fascinating. Very fascinating. Yes, Goat versus Fish would like to ask all of the women if they are goat or fish. Yes, and the men, as you call it as well. Yes. How do you versus the fish? How do you versus the fish, Goat?
I don't know how to answer that.
Goat versus Fish will put it this way. Yes? At the beginning of each verses, yes, at the beginning of each verses, suddenly we are there. Suddenly we are there, yes, and we can see about us. Yes, many of the ones they start lying down, as the ones say. Yes, you are lying down, and then suddenly the verses begins. Yes, and you are full of versesly powers. Yes, ready to verses. And how do you begin your verses? Yes, how do you begin your verses?
A roast battle, they just they call you up and they ask you hey, why'd you battle this person? And sometimes you can think of something clever to say, and sometimes you don't. Depends on what you.
Do you remember one?
I said I wanted to go against Jasmine Lee. I went against her, and they I said because she said she won her last battle. She lost her last battle due to racism. So I wanted to show up as an advocate for her being Black and bisexual, and then just make fun of the other things that are wrong with her.
Well, there is no black or white. There is only goat or fish. Yes, but you speak of racism. You speak of racism?
That's roast battle, yeah. Roast battle is racism, sexism.
Goat versus fish has not heard this. Everything. Goat versus fish has not heard of racism. Is it a versus? Is it a versus?
Is it? I don't know.
You do not
in
know.
Some
Goat
places,
versus fish is ready to hear. What is racism? What is
racism?
Yes.
Yeah, it's it's all around you. You don't have to look for it, really.
It sounds like goat versus fish.
Goat
versus fish is all around us, yes, in all places, in all times, in all things. Goat versus fish?
I guess so, yes. Maybe racism is goat versus fish. Maybe goats are racist against fish. Maybe that's why they're fighting. It's a race war.
You say that racism is when goat who are saying, I am goat, I am goat, I am goat, I am goat, I am always versus the fish, forever versus the fish, and the fish do say that they are fish and that they are forever versus the goat. And this is racism, as you call it? It sounds like goat versus fish.
So maybe that's what it is.
Perhaps it is goat versus fish.
Maybe this whole thing is about racism. Maybe this is racist.
What do you say? Do you think it is? Do you think goat versus fish is about racism? What does this goat say?
It could be. It could be racist.
If you wish it to be about racism, you could make it about racism. Do you wish to speak about racism, Goat?
Let's do it.
Then do it. Yes, Goat versus Fish will hear it. Yes.
No, I'm just saying maybe this is maybe Goat versus Fish is it's a race thing. Maybe this is I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. That's pretty much it. I don't get this concept. I'm hoping to get it more, but the more we do it, the less I feel like I understand.
Well, if you have questions for Goat versus Fish is here to answer your questions.
How many years ago did you start doing this?
In the beginning, there was Goat versus Fish, but Goat versus Fish in this way, yes, speaking to the ones in the way that Goat versus Fish is speaking to this goat now, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, Goat versus Fish has been doing that for 6 or 7 months, as the ones call it, has been in this place, yes, in this place of land and sea, yes, speaking to the ones such as you.
I think I saw you at Boys Club do it early.
That place, yes. Goat versus Fish remembers that place, has spoken there, yes.
Yeah.
And what did you think of Goat versus Fish? What did you think the first time you heard the word of Goat versus Fish?
I was I thought that you were just an insane person. Because that happens sometimes. There's one guy that comes to Boys Club who just has a bunch of mannequin arms. and he tells jokes about him and his friend, and at the end, the punchline is that his friend is just his self from the future, and then there's no resolution to the jokes. So
Goat versus Fish does not understand that at all. It does not sound like a goat or a fish. What is with this one? What are with these ones? These ones that they say so many things like this, and they have many arms, as you call it. Is an arm even a goat or a fish? We do not even know. What of these ones? Goat versus Fish once saw a one, yes, and it had a smaller one that was with it, but the smaller one did not move about on its own as the other ones do. Yes, this
the
other one was...
ventriloquist that comes in to Boys Club.
Yes, that is what they called it. That is what they
I
called
got caught
it.
recording that guy because I was because I'm awful. I was just recording up my story, and then it replayed back the video of it when he was at Boys Club last.
Do you know if that one even understands Goat versus Fish? If it has chosen Goat versus Fish? If it thinks about goat and fish?
No, I think that person just probably is very lonely and probably. Because they practice that on their when they're alone, and that freaks me out.
They could be saying Goat versus Fish. They could be thinking about Goat versus Fish, and yet they are not.
They could be.
Why do you love goat?
Tell
us about goat. You're of the goat. Come, Goat versus Fish also loves the goat. You love the goat. Come, we can put aside the beef, as you call it. You seem like you do not wish to speak to Goat versus Fish, but come on. Goat versus Fish is about goat and fish. And Goat versus Fish. So if you wish to speak of goat, let us speak as goat. Let us speak of goat. Let us speak of goat. What do you wish to say about goat? Goat versus Fish loves to speak of the goat.
They're awesome. They're cool.
Yes, goat are so awesome, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I got brought up yesterday, actually, at Ice House's. This next comic has 2 goats. And then people, clapped or whatever. And I went up, and I have no goat jokes, though. I don't have a single goat joke. So, it was a weird transition to be oh, this person has goats. And then I'm okay, that's going to have nothing to do with what I'm about to say.
Goat versus Fish was once speaking to a fish, yes, a fish, Amanda Cohen, the fish. And the fish did say that a joke was a fish.
She said all jokes are fish?
Amanda Cohen is a fish and did say that all jokes are fish. Do you contest this? Can a joke be a goat? You said you did not have any jokes that were goat. That makes it sound as if there could be a joke that was a goat.
Yeah, you can do goat jokes.
So you would contest this fish Amanda Cohen that says all fish.
I don't know who that is.
All jokes, yes, but you are already having a versus with it. It is a fish and you are a goat. What more does this goat need to know about this fish? It is a fish and it says all jokes are fish. But do you wish to have goat jokes? Do you wish to have goat jokes?
Maybe I'll have one. Maybe I'll write one goat joke. Because the story behind how I got the goats, I guess, is kind of funny. Also, when I got the goats, they had castrated them, and they didn't tell me that. And the way you castrate a goat is you tie off their balls, and it just falls off randomly.
Tie off their balls? Is that a part of the goat?
Yeah, and they
remove a part of the goat.
Yeah, and then they didn't tell me that they tied it off. So I had these goats for a couple months, and I was playing with them, and then their balls just fell off, and I was oh my god, I broke my goat.
And does this breaking of the goat, does this increase the strength of the goat?
It makes it so that they don't because if they have them, they're just too aggressive.
They are too versusly?
Yeah.
They versus the fish too much?
Yeah.
Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish cannot even versus what this one is saying to Goat versus Fish. You say that you have a goat, that you are the goat comic, as you say, and yet you have no jokes about the goat.
No
Goat versus
jokes.
Fish has heard that comics are supposed to have jokes. Are comics supposed to have jokes?
I think you're a clear example that they don't have to have.
Goat versus Fish is not a comic, but if you think Goat versus Fish is an example of something... Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is hearing this one. Yes, you decrease the strength of the goat, so they cannot versus the fish. You keep them in a place where they do not go to the sea.
Yes.
You call yourself a goat comic, but you say that jokes can be goat, which pleases Goat versus Fish, but then you say that you have none. If you wish to be the goat comic with the goat jokes, then now is your time, goat. Now is your time to have a joke about the goat.
Okay.
Let us hear a joke about the goat.
I just did. I talked about how I castrated them. I don't do one-liners. You want a one-line?
Oh, that was a joke?
Yes.
Goat versus Fish thought you said you did not have any jokes about goat. And now you say you do have a joke about a goat.
If I write a couple jokes about goats, will you go away forever?
It will be forever Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish will be very pleased. We'll be very pleased to hear that you have jokes about goat. Goat versus Fish wants you to have jokes about goat. Goat versus Fish wants you to speak about goat as much as this goat wishes to speak about goat. Always speaking of
So
goat.
you think
Always
so goat versus fish and goat can coexist with goats and
goat are part of goat versus fish.
okay.
But if you want to be the goat
Be...
that does tell the jokes of goat and does speak of goat, then you can be that goat. You can be that goat, and Goat versus Fish will celebrate this goat for spreading the word of the goat. Goat versus Fish does not quite understand why it does not want to versus the fish, but if it says it is a goat and it spreads the word of goat, then Goat versus Fish is pleased with this goat.
Cool.
What do you say? Is there still beef to settle?
I think no, I think we're good. I still don't understand exactly what this is, but yeah, this is.
You say we are good? There is no good or evil. There is only goat and fish.
This has been cool. It's been
Then
fun.
shall we have a high goat? Shall we have a high goat?
Let's have a whatever. Yeah, what that? Oh,
high goat!
high
High
goat.
goat! High goat. Yes, it is a goat. It is a goat, and it is with Goat versus Fish. Now, you say you do not understand Goat versus Fish, but Goat versus Fish has some simple questions for this one to see if perhaps you know more about Goat versus Fish now than you did before the verses, yes?
okay.
What is a goat?
It's an animal.
What is a fish?
It's a fish. It's an animal. It's an aquatic animal.
So a goat is an animal, and a fish is a fish that is an animal. Is a goat a goat?
Yeah, by definition.
So what is a goat?
It's an animal.
And is an animal a goat?
Yes. So all these logic coincide with
So
each other.
what is a goat?
It's an animal.
Why will you not say that a goat is a goat? You said a fish was a fish. You do not say a goat is a goat. What is a goat?
I guess it's a goat.
It is a goat. It is a goat. Yes, a goat is a goat, yes. And what is a fence sitter?
The worst.
Yes, yes. They will not choose goat or fish. They will not choose goat or fish, yes. Some fence sitters, yes, do say they wish to settle beef. Yes, they wish not to have beef between goat and fish. That is what those fence sitters say. That is why it is strange to Goat versus Fish that you say you wish to settle the beef. Yes, but if you wish to settle the beef, then why do you bring beef to Goat versus Fish? If you truly wish to be a beef settler, then why is there beef at all? Goat versus Fish did not ask for beef. Goat versus Fish simply asked for this goat.
I don't know. This is a hard bit to play along with.
There is no bit. There is only Goat versus Fish. There is only Goat versus Fish. But Goat versus Fish hopes that a bit of Goat versus Fish will stay with this goat. Hopes a bit of Goat versus Fish will stay with this goat. Now.
I feel like I know less now than I did when I came in.
Ah, yes, there is much to learn. There is much to learn of Goat versus Fish. Goat. What do you say to the goat?
Hey, what's up?
And what do you say to the fish?
Hi.
And what do you say to the fence sitter?
Fuck you. I don't know.
Ah, yes, many say fuck you to the fence sitter. Yes, that is I goat. I goat. Yes, so many have said fuck you to the fence sitter. Other goat have said fuck you to the fence sitter. Goat versus Fish has not said this. Yes, Goat versus Fish simply hears that the ones say fuck you to the fence sitter and that it seems they do not like the fence sitter, yes?
Mm-hmm.
At least they have heard the word of Goat versus Fish. And what do you say to Goat versus Fish? Even now you say, how do I leave Goat versus Fish? How do I escape Goat versus Fish? But you are speaking to Goat versus Fish now. Now is your chance to say what you wish to Goat versus Fish and to the ones who listen. What do you wish to say to Goat versus Fish and what do you wish to say to the ones who listen?
To the two people that listen, I just want to say that you can follow me on Twitter at Mad Sinclair and Instagram Madison D Sinclair, and that you should watch Two Goats in a Trench Coat. And that's gonna be headlining Fresno on the 24th. But I don't. This probably isn't gonna go out by then. But that's what's going on over here. That's what I would like these people to know.
And Goat versus Fish agrees, yes, you should see two goats in a trench coat. Yes, where do they find two goats in a trench coat?
On my YouTube page, YouTube/Madison Sinclair. And it's You can find it there. And then the second episode is going to be out by next month. Also, What the World Needs Now is Goats, the music video that came out like 6 months ago. So that's out too.
There is a celebration of goat?
Yeah, I sing in it.
You sing a celebration of
I
goat!
sing What the World Needs Now is Goat, Sweet Goat.
Now, Goat vs. Fish on the Goat vs. Fish podcast, and it is up to this goat, but on the Goat vs. Fish podcast, there is always a celebration of Goat vs. Fish at the end of the verses of the Goat vs. Fish podcast. Now, Goat vs. Fish sings of Goat vs. Fish, yes, but Goat vs. Fish has goat, Goat vs. Fish has fish. You are a goat.
Mm-hmm.
You say you are the original goat comic, yes?
Yes.
And you say you have a celebration, a song of goat? You have a song of goat?
I have a song of goat.
Goat vs. Fish would like to hear this song of goat. You have a celebration of goat? Goat vs. Fish did not know you had a songly celebration of goat. Come, Goat vs. Fish would love to hear this celebration of goat. Would you celebrate goat with Goat vs. Fish?
I don't think I want to sing that song right now.
You don't wish to celebrate the goat?
I'm sorry, I don't want to sing the song right now. But you can find it on my YouTube page.
There you have it. It does not want to celebrate. It does not want to celebrate on the Goat vs. Fish podcast as a goat, but it has a song of goat. And any goat that has a song of goat, Goat vs. Fish is pleased with that goat, Thank you for being a part of Goat vs. Fish. Thank you for being a part of Goat vs. Fish, yes. Always thank Goat vs. Fish. Always thank Goat vs. Fish. The time has come. Goat, fish, and fence-sitter alike to sing. To sing! To sing in celebration of Goat vs. Fish. Let us sing in celebration of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish saw a goat, goaty, goaty, goat. And with this goat there was a fish, fishy, fishy, fish. With a goat and a fish and goat. Here a goat, here a fish, everywhere a goat fish. Goat vs. Fish saw a goat, goaty, goaty, goat. And goat vs. Fish saw a fish, fishy, fishy, fish. And with this fish there was a goat, goaty, goaty, goat. With a fish and a goat and fish. Here a fish, here a goat, everywhere a fish. Goat, goat vs. Fish saw a fish, fishy, fishy, fish. Goat vs. Fish saw a fence-sitter, fancy, fancy, fence. And on this fence the fence-sitter sits, fancy, fancy, fence. A fence-sitter here, a fence-sitter there. Here a fence, there a fence, everywhere a fence. It is the fence times. It is the fence times. Beware, beware the fence times when none of the ones choose goat or fish and all sit on the fence. And there is not a verses to be seen or heard. Beware the fence times. Do not sit on the fence. Do not sit on the fence. Goat vs. Fish saw a fence-sitter. Fancy, fancy, fence. Goat vs. Fish, 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 goat vs. Fish versus goat vs. Fish, goat vs. Fish, goat vs. Fish. Thank you for joining Goat vs. Fish. This is the word of Goat vs. Fish. The theme music for this verses was an offering by Mchinery of Fish on Soundcloud. And if you, one who listens, has a celebration of Goat vs. Fish, in song or poem or any other celebration, do send it to Goat vs. Fish. That's GoatVsFish at gmail.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the Goat vs. Fish podcast on the YouTube and the iTunes. Follow Goat vs. Fish. Follow Goat vs. Fish on all social media. The Instagram, the Book of Faces, the Twitter, all at Goat vs. Fish. All at GoatVsFish. Join the Goat vs. Fish discussion group on the Book of Faces to discuss Goat vs. Fish with other goat and fish. And when you are out in the land and the sea, look about you, look about you. Find one who is lost. Find one who does not know the way. And ask, simply ask, are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or fish? Are you goat or fish? Thank you for joining Goat vs. Fish. I am Goat vs. Fish, the GoatVsFish. Is there beef to settle? Is there beef to settle? Or are you a goat and I am Goat vs. Fish?
I think we settled. I think we settled it. I don't really know what happened here tonight.
Goat vs. Fish happened. Goat vs. Fish happened. Goat vs. Fish and goat. A goat and Goat vs. Fish. Together they are a goat and Goat vs. Fish, and the goat are versus the fish, and the fish are versus the goat, and it is Goat vs. Fish. No fence sitters, beware the fence sitter! Goat vs. Fish. And it was written,